Last night I had a dream where there was a storm coming in and I was on the beaches where the waves were also coming in as well. And a voice whispered to me saying, "Not all knowledge is fruitful." And this led me to think a lot about a lot of different things. And specifically, I started to think about how happily single men are just freaking hated, dude. We who are actually happily single are just so hated. We who understand the spiritual warfare that is going on, and we just move accordingly. We're not trying to convince anybody of anything, and we're just giving our perspective. And look, if you agree with it, you do. If not, you don't. That's just who we are, right? Like, we're not trying to, you have to believe what I have to believe, because otherwise my identity is not going to be safe. If you don't believe what I believe, then that means that I'm not who I say I am. And like people like this who are not happily single, they might pretend that they're happily single. Some of these dudes out here might pretend, because it's kind of like the voluntarily celibate dude who's actually not voluntarily celibate. And you can see it. The people that actually know female nature and have a good relationship with their unconscious mind, they see this from a mile away. But we're in an information war, and the information war is going all out right now. AI is being used to create all different kinds of crazy things happening right now. And look, it just is what it is. And you're going to either fall for it or you're going to be able to see through it. And if you're actually associated with AI, you use it on a day-to-day basis, you're going to be able to see this a little bit more clearly than otherwise. Because otherwise it's just going to look like a movie to you. And I think that there's a lot of these TikToks and a lot of these Instagram models and all that stuff. I genuinely think that a lot of them are plants, not necessarily directly, but indirectly. They started out as just a person, but then the algorithms just by happenstance, happen to favor them a little bit more so than others. And so they're like a plant that's actually a cultural engineering form in which they're designed to destroy not only the family unit, but also the emotional regulation systems and our nervous systems, as well as our relationship to Jesus Christ and God Himself. So all of these things are meant to hinder us from our path with God. And sometimes, I feel as though I'm like a puppy dog in an F-22 Raptor, and I'm trying to keep my eyes on Jesus. And meanwhile, there are all these other fighter jets around me in the spiritual warfare, and I'm just like this puppy dog that's chilling. I just want a chew toy at this point, because I'm just like, there's nothing to do, man. There's nothing to do. All that I can do is pray to God that I can get out of this fighter jet alive, right? That's just what it feels like sometimes. And, like the fighter jet in of itself is God's protection. And yeah, you have spiritual weapons, right? Like, we have spiritual weapons, and we have and are endowed with certain types of gifts, right? Because sometimes your gifts, as a person who follows Christ, you're going to be intimidating a lot of people. Like, happily single men intimidate society. They really do. Happily single men intimidate society because these are men who have fully realized themselves. These are the ones who have achieved godlike mastery. Okay, I talk a lot about my Godlike Mastery Initiation program and how we go through these types of things in Godlike Mastery initiations and such. But when you get to the point to where you're happily single as a man, and yeah, maybe you do want a family, right? You see through the BS, though. You see through the information war. You see through the gender wars. You see through the generational wars. You see through the boomers. You see through the Gen X, the Gen Z. Like, all these are just concepts and titles. Okay, everybody wants to associate themselves with a title or with whatever. I don't even identify as like a happily single man, even though I suppose that I am. I'm not, I don't think happiness is something that we're entitled to. Okay, being happy is just a byproduct of being on your mission and on your purpose. And it's so crazy to me to see how so many people want to attach themselves to titles or affiliate themselves with ideologies or this or that. And it's just, you recognize that this is not conducive toward actually living the truth, right? Because look at John 4:24. If you want to look at any single verse in the Bible that just emanates truth, that's the one. Because that's, for me, that was like the, okay. like, all right, death is an illusion. Everything. Now, what does it say, right? Because it says, they that worship God truly worship in spirit and truth. Okay, well, what does that mean? It means that you are actually living in your spirit. Okay, your genome has connected to, like, in your genome meaning your biology and psychophysiology has connected to itself. You are no longer operating on survival skills, because if you're around a narcissist quite a bit in your environment growing up, or you were made to be a people pleaser, or whatever the case may be, you are operating in survival skills and survival mechanisms all the time. And so when you finally get to a place to where, oh, godlike mastery is available to you, you almost sabotage yourself because you see it for what it is. You see that there's actual freedom right there. But your nervous system is designed to attack itself, so you don't want to actually pursue it. You know what you need to do, but you don't want to actually pursue it because that makes it real, right? Like that makes the realness more real. And that can be very challenging because it challenges your own perception of who you are and your own ideologies of who you are. Because make no mistake, okay, with a clear vision, fear will be killed. So if you can kill off fear with a clear vision in mind, then you're going to extrapolate on so many different things and curate a reality with God for yourself that's going to be completely different and intimidating to others because they don't understand it. They want to confine you. And they want to title you, and they want to title themselves. And why do you want to title yourself so bad? Why do you want to be affiliated with these things so bad? Like, I got DMs the other day about my Sigma comment and how Sigmas don't exist. Oh my gosh. Like the amount of people that were butthurt by this. And again, this is my opinion. I'm not like you can believe it or you can't. Like you don't have to believe this. I'm clearly stating that this is an opinion, that the way that I see the truth, because I formulate my conceptions of truth and the living out of that truth because of my own conclusions. So I've determined, because I used to identify with a Sigma as well, but then I realized that it's just another term, man. It's just another term to get people to feel a certain way about themselves. Like, oh yeah, I'm the mysterious one. It's just wishy-washy. Like, don't be so identified with these terms. It's okay to use them. If you really feel like you are a Sigma, okay, but how does this benefit your life in some way? It gives you a sense of identity, sure, but don't ask me. It's kind of like the letter people who try to force me to say that that's a man when it's clearly not a man. It's like you're not a man though. It's like, oh well, you have to call me a Sigma, but you're not a Sigma though. These things don't really exist. If you want to call yourself that, fine. But don't compel my speech, okay? Because I'm not going to compel your speech, and I'm not going to compel your thought. But don't compel me to think a certain way, okay? Again, this is the happily single guys. Who told you were entitled to these terms? Who told you that you were entitled to these things? You're not entitled to these terms or titles or whatever. Are you living in truth and in spirit or not? Again, it's really that simple, and it doesn't need to be so complicated. And it goes back to my dream that I talked about at the very beginning, is that not all knowledge is fruitful. Okay, you might feel like you're attaining knowledge by thinking about, concepts in certain ways. This is like Gnosticism, right? Gnosticism in Christianity is one of the worst things that ever happened to Christianity, because people sacrifice the actual sacredness of Christ and what it means to follow Christ for the sake of knowledge. Okay, they think that they know things, but they really don't. And they think that they are living a certain way. They're like, oh, well, Christ doesn't actually, like, it's like these Gnostics that they say, well, Christ, when he says I and the Father are one, well, he's actually saying that I'm just, living through the Father, like with everybody else. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then okay, like let's take this to its logical end, because you're going to get lost in this never-ending like borrowing of avatar ideas. Like, if that's truly the case and Christ is just an avatar, then that means you're an avatar. Well, so what makes you real? Okay, now this is where the problem of identity comes into play, right? Because I understand why so many people want to identify with certain things. I understand why so many people want to identify with titles and terms. And of course there's utility in it, but don't remember that you are not that. Okay? You're not the that. You are part of that, but you're not the that. Okay? That's where you need to make that distinction and differentiation. You need to remember that. Otherwise, you're going to get sucked into a vortex. Because think about this, right? Ooh, I just thought of something. Like, remember when there was like this power vortex in Star Wars where all of the Jedi died, right? All the Jedi, spoiler alert, all the Jedi died in Revenge of the Sith. So there was this power vortex, right? That was meant to be filled by something, and only evil knew about the power vortex. So what did evil do? Well, evil came in and took that power vortex by force and compelled people to live out a certain way, else, they would be killed. And there was no good, this version of good, that could actually do anything about it, right? So until later down the line, but because of course good always wins in the end, but this good and evil, remember, these are just concepts. Okay, these are concepts, and it's not to say that it's not real, but it's not to say that it's something that you need to completely adhere to all the time. Okay, be mindful of this kind of stuff. All right, it's not something that needs to be so like. Again, are you living in spirit and truth, or are you not? It's just that easy. It's just that simple. I mean, it's maybe not easy, but it's simple. And so when I see the world for what it is, like the gender war, for example, as well, women have seen the power vortex that needs to be filled. Okay, I just saw something about this was like a day ago or whatever when I saw this, but it was like this woman who is like a barista, like a bikini barista or whatever, and she made like $500 a day, at this barista shop, and she like is just living, she's living the easy life, right? Living the good life. And by good life, I don't mean good life. I mean like an actual sad life, because she's just experiencing the power vortex that men have given up for these types of women. Men are giving up so much of themselves for really useless women. And I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm just saying that they're very useless. Okay, they look good, but that's it. Like, you don't feel anything with them. Okay, I even had women reaching out to me in my DMs about like wanting a relationship after seeing my videos and such. And I was like, well, what kind of woman are you? And just out of curiosity, and if you're wanting to develop something, well, what kind of woman are you? They don't even know what they bring to the table, and they're the ones making an offer. Right? Like they don't there's no game. And it's like, what do you think is going to happen if if you don't actually make yourself into the person that you need to be? Okay? Because the problem is that there are so many different types of information out there that if you get sucked into a power vortex and you don't even know it, you're going to be the feeder of whatever is taking place in that power vortex. And so the power vortex is going to consume you, and you might not even know it. And it was very evident with these titles, like, and I'm just giving the example of the Sigma. I'm not trying to convince anybody anything. I just said, I don't think Sigmas exist. I just don't. Like, I see it as alphas and betas. It's, again, we're making things that are simple, complex for no reason. And that's just the way that I see it. And people just, like, the response, again, it demonstrated to me that this type of emotional, it reminded me of a religious spirit. It reminded me of a religious spirit in Christianity or in Islam or everything else, where you say something and they can't handle it, or like a nationalist as well. Like they can't differentiate their emotions from actually the verifiable logic that's in place. And it was like, you can't talk to these kinds of people. Like, there's no reasoning with them. And because I'm willing to talk about anything and everything. I'm the guy that people go to. I can't tell you how many times I've heard in my one-on-one sessions, like in the Godlike Master Initiation Program, for example, where I'm the only guy that they could talk to about this. They said that I'm grounded enough in the world to know the practicalities of things, but I'm also spiritual enough to see the true depths of the spiritual warfare types of things going on. I get that kind of stuff a lot in my one-on-one sessions. I get it a lot, that I'm the only guy that they could talk to about this kind of stuff. And it's so therapeutic. It's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. And it's because I'm actually seeing them. I'm actually hearing them. I'm actually not judging them. I'm just able to talk about things without being emotional about it. And it's just crazy where I can even just propose ideas. Like, for example, the Sigma thing. Like, I don't think Sigmas exist. Oh, well, you're this and you're that. It's like, are we going to talk about the idea, or are you going to try to character assassinate me? Okay, are we going to try to actually talk about the idea here, or are you going to just try to, like, tell me how much of a whatever I am? Because I'm not talking about you, am I? I'm not talking about you. You're the one that feels identified to it. It's like a woman, right? It's like a woman where you say, like, women generally do this. And they're like, well, not all women. Did I say you? Did I say you do that? I just said women generally do that. Again, it's like people, they want to attach themselves to these identities. And that's why the happily single man is the most intimidating out of everybody. Because the happily single man knows that he's just a chill dude that can just live his life, and he doesn't really need anyone. And it's not to say that he doesn't love people. It's not to say that he doesn't enjoy being around people. He just doesn't really care much anymore. He just doesn't really care to be a people pleaser. You know, to be around narcissists, or to be around people that are trying to force ideas or anything, or like identities onto him. He's just like, for me, for example, there is little joy that I feel in my life apart from being able to just create. Like, I was painting the other night, and I was painting and I was listening to some music, and I just was like, man, I love my life. I love my life. I can be so chill doing this. I get meaning from it. Don't get me wrong, I'm ready to go to heaven. I'm absolutely ready to go to heaven. But I'm not suicidal, okay? Because the world sucks. The world is beautiful, but it also sucks. And I am just so grateful for the ability to be able to be at peace with myself while also still feeling the emotions of everything, right? Like, it's not that I'm numb to the emotions. I just know that I am not the emotion. And that's part of godlike mastery, right? That's part of godlike mastery. So, with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace. Until next time.